So today we're announcing the launch of our dual configurable logic design contest. And this contest will run from January through June of next year. The dual configurable part is a part that is PCB configurable. It's not programmable. It's configured by how the PCB is laid out. So you can take the same part, and depending on how you lay out the PCB, you can have it perform one of 9 different functions. So one location on the PCB, you can have it laid out for an AND gate. Another location can be a NOR gate or exclusive OR or a MUX. It all depends on the hardware or how the PCB is laid out. And this dual configurable part has 2 sets of parts in it. So you can configure to perform 2 different functions in the same package.
Gotcha.
The advantage of that is that the part saves space on the PCB, so the engineer doesn't have to buy 2 components. It also saves power consumption because the static power and the dynamic power is consumed by the chip itself. So that's how you can save power. So that is the application benefit. From a design engineer, since there are 9 functions times 2, because there's 2 sets of functions in there, he has 9 functions on hand at any time, so he doesn't have to wait for a particular device type to come in. He has them in inventory. For the component engineer, he only has to qualify 1 device, and he gets the 9 functions qualified. For purchasing, he saves on the cost, because instead of having to buy 3 or 4 different functions, he just buys the one. He gets the scale in ordering, plus he gets to reduce cost because the 3 or 4 functions cost more than the one of these parts. And then for manufacturing, the big benefit is that if you have a pick and place machine, and a pick and place machine has a capacity, say, for 9 different or 10 different components, and if you have a board that's running through that needs 14 components, you either have to do a second pass on the PCB, or you have to have in tandem with that layout another pick and place machine. With the configurable logic, because you can configure it up to 9 different components, you can reduce the number of magazines that you're using in the pick and place machine and free it up for other components in your application. In January, we were launching this dual configurable logic design competition for design engineers. And what's unique about this competition is that it's not just focused on one part, the dual configurable logic device, although that's the heart of the competition. We also have components from other groups within NXP. We have some ESD protection diodes, we have filtering components, we also have Schottky diodes and load switches. And the idea is that if the engineer can incorporate all of those components into his design, he will get additional points for his submission. We first judged the overall design on creativity. All right. Then after creativity, we judged it based on documentation. So if he provides us with a nice write-up and schematic diagrams. Then we based the design, the submission on demonstration. So he can demonstrate it by either sending in a video of it working or sending us in the waveforms that he has monitored, right? And then so now he's got the basic number of points. And then he gets a multiplier if he uses some ESD protection diodes, say on the front end of his application, or he uses some filtering devices. He also gets a multiplier if he uses the Schottky diodes that we submitted, or if he uses the load switches. So here's how you can boost his points with multipliers by using additional components from NXP. So each of the products from the other families, the business lines, he gets a 20% multiplier. It's global, worldwide, and it's open to all design engineers. They first have to answer a 20-question questionnaire, and this questionnaire engineer gives us some insight into the engineer, his applications, his requirements, and the direction of the industry in general. So the prize money is up to $20,000 in total prizes. We have a grand prize winner, and then we have a first, second, and third prize winner, and honorable mention. Because sometimes what happens is that an engineer will have a very creative design, but his documentation isn't the best. And you have to recognize people for creativity, and that's why we have some honorable mentions also.